A very good afternoon to you fellow cruise aficionados, and welcome to MSC Seascape, an inaugural cruise out of Port of Miami, 7 nights in December of 2022. Stay tuned for our Yacht Club Deluxe Suite tour, as well as a detailed review where we will share beautiful footage of the ship and all the destinations, shows, and everything else we get to enjoy, and, well, some of the criticism that we will share with you. But for now, let's just jump into a quick walkthrough tour of the ship, just to get you an idea what to expect, what does it look like, and share just a few initial impressions. So we'll start our tour at the very back of the ship, on deck 5. We are in the Atrium, which is a beautiful area that spans about 4 decks. There are, of course, all sorts of entertainments that are happening here. Fairly quiet in the morning, of course, but the bar is already open. As you walk through, there's an area where you can purchase pictures and whatnot. Pictures that were taken during the cruise. I'll be honest, it looks a little claustrophobic here to me. That actually is the feeling that I got on all the decks, and I'm not the tallest person in the world. At about 5'10", 5'11" on a good day. Right about the middle of the ship, there's another open area that spans 3 decks with a beautiful artwork installation. I'll keep saying that all the art around the ship is gorgeous. As we get to the deck 5, or 6, yeah, 6, we're in this open area with surrounded by quite a few shops. But overall, it's a nice area to sit down and listen to dueling piano. That happens in the evening. I'll be perfectly honest, we weren't overly impressed, but it seemed to work for most of the folks. By the way, layout of the ship is somewhat confusing, and you have to refer to the map on all the decks all the time. We'll get lost here a couple of times, but there are 2.5 banks of elevators, one of them at the very back, which is counting for only half, and then 2 major banks of elevators. All of them are very slow. And we're back to that central area that I was just talking about. We're kind of heading towards the chocolate shop. They seem to make a pretty big deal out of making their own sweets on board. They were quite good. We got a few of them in the evenings with turn-down service, and we enjoyed them. We didn't get around to purchase anything. We don't really have sweet tooth, but for those who do, this probably is paradise. Since we're sailing around Christmas time, of course, a lot of things are themed around Christmas, New Year, holiday season. As we climb to deck 7, we get ourselves into a casino. By the way, all ships of this seaside class are themed, well, around New York. So you got New York skyline, a Statue of Liberty, and a few other references to Big Apple. And here's Times Square, right on cue. Spans about 3 decks. To me, it didn't look overly impressive or open, but again, that's just our opinion. So this deck is occupied by a casino, which is perfectly fine, except it's very open, and of course a lot of folks smoke around here, so you can definitely get a smell of smoke up and down all of the decks around here and up and down the hallways. Doesn't really bother us. We don't smoke, but it doesn't really bother us. Just something that's somewhat surprising, something that typically on all other ships that we've been to, casinos are a little more contained and isolated from the rest of the ship. This one spills over into a corridor, into the walkway, and almost gets into the atrium. In Atrium, pretty much every evening we had live music and or dancing or some sort of a entertainment happening, so that worked out well. Those screens work out really well. Sorry, hard to see them on in the video, but in real life they do look pretty impressive. So we'll climb another flight of stairs laid with Swarovski crystals. They make sure to point that out every chance they get. Taking pictures with those stairs is a little tricky because the light is not the most favorable for photography, but it is what it is. I have to say, typically I don't care about the artwork presentation, or artwork sales rather, on cruise ships, but this particular time it was quite interesting. There was a lot of very engaging and interesting photography, so we definitely enjoyed browsing through that, albeit we didn't end up buying any. There are a few premium restaurants, and this would be one of them, across from the bar, Mexican cuisine. Being from Texas, of course, we didn't really feel a need for Mexican food, but hey, it was pretty full, so they must be doing good. They have several bars, of course, and one of them, of course, is a sports bar. Yesterday it was jam-packed as we had a semifinals of World Cup, and it was just phenomenally packed. People were sitting on the floor, all the chairs were taken, waiters couldn't even get through the crowd, cut through the crowd. Here we are, back at the Times Square. Now we can see it all the way from the top. And wave at Lady Liberty again. I think that about wraps it up for the central area inside of the ship. Even though this ship is not that much smaller than Oasis class of Royal Caribbean, we cruised on Wonder of the Seas in the spring of this year. This area still just doesn't feel as large as Open or as the Royal Promenade or of course Central Park. It just feels more compact, which is somewhat unfortunate for the class, for the ship of this class. And ceilings here are just a little too low. Again, not being the tallest person in the world, I can touch them just about everywhere I go. So that doesn't really make up for nice, open, and visually attractive space. So as we walk back through a couple more shops on the ship, we get back to the central atrium. Again, have to admire the artwork. something that we loved. One of the few things that we really enjoyed here is the photography exhibition. Pretty much all the artwork they had around. Can't have enough of that. A lot of those pictures are very inspiring, so it's something to just keep in mind. Don't necessarily have to buy it, just you know, seek for inspiration anywhere you can. As we walk through this corridor, we go by a couple of premium restaurants. We haven't tried any of the premium restaurants. It's not exactly what we're here for. I know food is very important for a lot of folks, just not necessarily something important to us. So we typically get by with the regular restaurants just fine. Not in this particular case, but we'll talk about that in the full review. They do have a sushi bar and a seafood restaurant, which is next to it but separate. Most of the premium restaurants didn't seem to be super busy. And finally, we're getting to the venue that we wanted to chat about a little bit, probably one of our favorite places to hang out. This is the Uptown Lounge, a single-story venue where they primarily focus on Latin music, which we really enjoyed. Every evening just about, we either took dance classes here, danced at a nice band that played just about every night as well, or just hung out and did a little bit of people watching, talked to the friends that we made on the cruise, and just loved spending time here. You can get outside and get straight to one of the key features of the Seascape. Signature features, I would say, the infinity pool, or actually two infinity pools all the way at the back of the ship. They're sort of split with this walkway, from which you can get a beautiful view of the ship wake, or turn around and kind of get a glimpse of the beautiful balconies and just overall nice, beautiful view of the ship with the bridge of sights at the very top. We'll get to that here in just a second. One of the unusual features of this ship is that they have this deck 8, that wraps around fairly low to sea level. Typically, those kind of decks, the wide open decks, happen a little bit higher, so it's a different perspective. Again, they kind of highlight it, and they have a lot of open areas here where you can either grab a lounger, have a seat with a drink or food, or enjoy the specialty restaurant. This area of the infinity pools is for adults only theoretically, but there are plenty of kids here when we were on this cruise. Yet another smoking area. I swear I don't walk through them on purpose, and no judgment whatsoever. If that's for you, go ahead and enjoy it. We don't, and it doesn't bother us one way or another. As I have mentioned, quite a few loungers on those open decks. A couple of times I think we saw cabanas here too from our balcony stateroom, but I'm not sure what that was all about. I don't know if they set them up or we just didn't walk to that particular area where those cabanas are, but at any rate, it's definitely a nice area to walk in. As I mentioned, it does not wrap around the entire ship, so I know on some ships they use this kind of a deal as a jogging trail. Here it wouldn't be as convenient, of course. And we're back inside, where it's a little more quiet. I think we are about done with the lower decks of the ship. I know we skipped over Cabaret Rouge. We'll talk about that in the full review. We also didn't cover gym or spa in this walkthrough. Again, saving that for a full review that is coming up. Here we had to refer to a map again just to figure out where we are and where we're heading, even though I think this was my third or fourth day on the ship, so typically by then I figure out where I am. Elevators are pretty horrible. I think that's pretty much everybody says that. You have to push the button outside before you walk into the elevator, and then one of the carts is assigned to you. And certain times you can wait several minutes. I think the longest wait we had was about 5 minutes to get an elevator, which is well, fairly major inconvenience, especially if you are heading to port or disembarking or whatever the case might be. Seems like just not enough elevators for the number of people that we had. And again, this is the first time we ran into a problem. Nah, correction, the second time we ran into an elevator issue. First time was on Norwegian Epic when they were still chasing bugs out of that thing. So we're on deck 16, checking out the marketplace buffet. Typically, the buffets are located at the back of the ship. This time it's not an exception, and it is indeed in the back of the ship. Very underwhelming experience. Aesthetically, again, it's pleasing, but buffet is not about the aesthetics, it's about the food. And food was very mediocre, and unfortunately there was just not enough of it, stations to serve everybody. So we had to stand in line here, and one would ask why, if you're staying in the Yacht Club, you would go to a regular buffet. Well, first of all, because we're trying not to be overly snobby, but probably even more importantly, the breakfast experience at the Yacht Club was terrible. Actually, as a matter of fact, all food at the Yacht Club was substantially worse than what you would get in the regular part of the ship, which is total opposite of what was advertised and what we expected, right? You're paying for a little extra and you're actually getting a little less of what you expected, but lessons learned for us. So as we walked out of the marketplace buffet, there are some seating area outside here in the solarium, where a couple of times we did have breakfast as well. It does have retractable roof. The roof happened to be closed this morning, but when the roof is open, it certainly works a little better because right now it feels a little muggy here. It's a pleasant area nevertheless. I guess this area is called Jungle Pool Lounge. I think there are a couple of places where the artwork just didn't exactly jive with us. Like this poor tiger, he looked tired. And as we get closer to the front of the ship, on deck 16, we get to the main entrance to the... Yes, we do have to look at the map before we get there. We look at the main entrance to the Yacht Club. You got a concierge desk here and a staircase and another small elevator that runs between 3 decks, deck 16, 18 and 19. There is no deck 17 because it is an unlucky number for Italians, as we've learned. So we'll get to the Yacht Club here in a minute. Let's get done with the regular areas of the ship available to everyone, and then we'll show you a little bit around the Yacht Club. Just another view at the solarium area. I would say this area was probably didn't have as many people as the main pool deck, to which we're walking towards. So this might be a nice place to find a little more privacy, if privacy exists at all on a cruise ship of this size. Around here there are a couple of areas for kids of different age. Since we didn't have kids, we don't have kids, and we didn't bring those kids that we don't have on a cruise. We didn't venture in the areas for youngsters here. So we're going to just walk through the Hall of Games. Those games, you have to pay for them. I think it's cash only, but I may be mistaken. We haven't played them. The charge is not huge, between $2 and $5, but didn't seem to be super popular because I feel that there was enough free entertainment or entertainment that was included in the cruise fare. So not too many folks considered spending extra few bucks here. We were looking for a duck machine, you know, the claw machine that fishes out ducks. For those who know what duck hunting on cruise ships is, we'll get it. And by the way, we did not see any ducks at all, and we looked pretty hard. So compared to, I think, about 10 that we found on Wonder, there was 0 here. So, well, don't know what it is, but maybe just not our lucky day. And here we are in another smoking area. Again, I swear I didn't do it on purpose. Doesn't bother me one way or another. In fact, a little bit of secondhand smoking is nice every now and then. And it's free. At any rate, here we are at the main pool. It is almost all the way to the back of the ship. I have to say a couple of things here. It's pretty busy. This area is very busy, especially on the sea day. And the thing that didn't work for us at all is there's no shade. I like to lounge in the shade pretty much all the time, just not because of not for any medical reason, just because I don't know if I necessarily enjoy the full blazing sun, even in the middle of December. But the shade is nowhere to be found here. There are no overhangs of any kind like they typically do on most of the ships that we've been to. So this whole area is open to the sun pretty much. To be fair, this place works really well at night when they have dance parties. One of the signature dance parties was, of course, the White Night. And we certainly enjoyed that, and we'll talk about that in the full review. Now we're all the way at the back of the ship, and we're looking at the infamous Bridge of Sighs. It's kind of neat, but I expected a little more size out of it. It has semi-transparent floor, and it sort of looks towards the ship wake and the infinity pool. It's neat, no doubt about it, but I don't know, for some reason I kind of expected a little more of this feature. They do have panoramic lifts that go elevators for North Americans, so they run up and down and give you a pretty nice view. There are only 2 of them on this side, on the back of the ship, and we'll take a ride all the way down. Pardon the reflection. Without it, the view is really nice. So we're just gonna ride this thing up and down because our ultimate destination is the Yacht Club, which is on deck 16. So we have to step outside, push the button that tells this thing to go up, and then step right back in, hoping it doesn't hit us with the doors in the process, because doors are super fast on this thing too. You have to react. You have to be very quick here. Same beautiful view on the way up. Hasn't changed that much in half a minute that we were complaining about elevators. And we are on deck 18. Pretty much back where we were with a pool. There are tons of bars everywhere. To be perfectly honest, while we walk, we'll complain a little bit more about the drinks and service. Unfortunately, it was very slow, and the quality of drinks here was very, very subpar. We do enjoy cocktails occasionally during the evening shows or during the dancing or whatever the case might be. But since we buy the cruise with our own money, we're not sponsored and we're not travel agents, we can say pretty much whatever we want here without any reservations. So yeah, service and drinks and food were probably the 3 really, really disappointing things on this cruise. But again, we do have a full review coming up. We will hit all the good, bad, and otherwise things. So if you want to learn more about this and understand or learn what to expect, or kind of get what, learn what to expect from this cruise, at least, from our perspective, please stay in touch, and we'll get that video up in just a couple of days. Now we are in the playground area for kids of all the ages. There are water slides, there are all sorts of climbing contraptions here. Seems to work out for kiddos. I think we are slightly overaged for this experience, so we left all of this, of course, for those who are much younger. And as we keep heading towards the front of the ship, there are a couple of hot tubs on the left-hand side. This is still a public area, but right behind those glass partitions, there is an entrance to the Yacht Club. And that area, of course, is reserved for those right around 350 folks who managed to pay a heck of a lot more than a regular stateroom to get the experience that, well, we'll talk about all the details later, but that wasn't really 3 times better than a regular experience, we would say. That being said, you have to swipe your card, or swipe your bracelet. So this area again is for Yacht Club guests only. It does have slightly higher quality loungers. Few cabanas that you don't have to pay extra for. It's already included in the price of the Yacht Club. Well, it better be. Same thing with the drinks. Drinks are included in the Yacht Club prices. And they do have 3 bars here on the deck 19, one on the deck 20, and one on deck 16 next to the lounge, to the private lounge. So you have to pass through about 10 different doors here. Now watch. Some of them are the doors that you have to open. Some of them slide for you. It's just super confusing, but I don't know why they lay out the way it is. But this is the main area, or the main entrance into the Yacht Club, where you can get to the concierge desk. Oh, wait a minute. No, it isn't. This is the deck 19. So what we're doing here is we're just going to use the private staircase to walk up and get to the deck 20. Yacht Club again spans 3 decks and 3 decks and hosts about 350 people. Someone here claimed that it's all sold out. I seriously doubt it. We bought cruise just a month before sailing and had no problem securing a room. We actually had a few to select from. We stayed on deck 19 and overall it was really nice. The only thing we had, of course, it was a bit more motion because of waves and mainly wind, a little more than we expected, but overall the 19th deck is quite nice and it's quite central to everywhere you want to go in the Yacht Club. So as I mentioned, the experience here is a little more upscale, better loungers, definitely a very nice pool. Somewhat small, but it's actually quite deep on one of the ends, so it's pretty pleasant to just hang out there. There is a bar and a snack slash breakfast brunch area. It's extremely busy, extremely slow, and very limited in what it has to offer. So to be perfectly honest, again, that's one of the areas that felt subpar for the Yacht Club. By the way, cabanas were mainly taken on the sea days, so it was really difficult to reserve. Even when I came out here pretty early in the morning trying to grab one so we can enjoy a few hours, all of the cabanas were already taken. There's another hot tub slash pool here at the very front and on the very top of the ship. Beautiful view from here. Nothing to complain about. This is about, what, 2-3 stories above the bridge of the ship. So we got better view than the captain. And with that, well, thanks for sticking around with us until the very end. Please stay tuned for our complete tour of our beautiful Yacht Club stateroom, as well as a full review wherein and I will share everything we have to know, we learn about this ship, as well as a lot of footage of hopefully slightly better quality than this. Cheers!